captured some of the best and worst foods in Disneyland, and we're going to rank them from worth the hype down to complete and utter scam and see how good they are. Paris is widely renowned as a global culinary capital, famous for its diverse and high quality food scene. But I want to know why Disneyland Paris is gaining such a bad reputation for its food. First up, we're starting our culinary adventure in the New York Art of Marble Hotel. The hotel originally opened in 1992, dedicated to the Art Deco style of New York. Reopened as the Art of Marble Hotel in June of 2021 with a modern feel and marble touches such as these life-size Iron Men in the lobby and movie memorabilia kind of dotted all about. This hotel is the perfect place for Marvel fans alike. This hotel does have two main restaurants. It does have two like bar lounge things where you can get some food. We try to focus on the two main restaurants, which is the Downtown Buffet and the Manhattan restaurant. First of all, we visited the popular Downtown restaurant with its beautiful high ceilings, that continued kind of like modern deco and that flowing marble theme throughout. And honestly, walking in, we had some very high hopes about this restaurant because I've seen some very good reviews. How sadly mistaken we was. The restaurant in particular started with three main sections. On one end is American, the middle is Italian, and then on the other end is Chinese. Now I'll be completely honest, I got 2 plates of food and barely touched any of it. Now I am not a picky eater. Everything had such like a weird, strange aftertaste. 55 euros an adult and 30 euros a child. We really expected to get some good food for our money. That was just really not the case. The desserts did slightly make up for it, but honestly, even those were gimmicky, and if you're paying to go here, I'd honestly say that it's more just kind of the experience rather than any sort of good food. I'm not going to say that this one was a complete scam because there was 1 or 2 little bits that I did enjoy, but I'm going to put it at I wouldn't go again. Now, staying in the same hotel, we actually tried the Downtown restaurant again, but for the Buffy Breakfast. Honestly, I'm glad we did because it was so much better for breakfast. Now, for 2 adults and 2 children, it did still cost us €116, and I probably would say that it's still not worth that price, so it is a little bit scamish for the amount that they charge you for kind of the food that they provide you, and that is honestly throughout the entire park. But this was 1,000 times better than the dinner that we went to the night before. I just started off in the American section with some marble waffles, some fresh baked mini pancakes, which were on this like weird kind of machine that just kind of rotated, constantly just like kept spitting out these little mini pancakes. I don't really feel like you can go wrong with pancakes and waffles and a little bit of maple syrup. Have a side of bacon, and it was your typical kind of buffet breakfast bacon. It wasn't crispy, it was a little bit soggy, but it wasn't bad. Now, the bit that I loved the most, unlimited coffee. There's a station with coffee, juice and herbal teas, and you could literally go up and get as many as you want. Of course, we're in the middle of France, so they had to have an endless amount of pastries. I kind of took one and snuck it in my purse for later, and even like 3 hours on, it was still absolutely unbelievable. My second plate, I did actually go for something quite small and savoury, and I did start eating it before I recorded it. The only thing is they had chicken sausages, which I've never tried before, so I wanted to try one of those, and honestly, they taste absolutely delicious. Even though it's still kind of expensive for what it is, I'm gonna kind of stick it just above the middle, and we're gonna put it at not bad. If you think that one's overhyped, stay tuned because we're gonna be moving our way through the park and trying ones that are so much worse. Now we're gonna make our way through to Disney Village, and the first one we're gonna stop at is a little coffee stall. This one is actually part of Rosalie. The main restaurant is Rosalie. They do also have Leit Rosalite, and they also have this like little coffee station on the side as well. This was just like a little quick service kind of like snack restaurant bit. The best snacks I think throughout the whole park. I did actually end up going to this one a couple of times. So I got caramel latte, a giant chocolate macaron and a chocolate cookie. Throughout the rest of the park you can easily find coffee. It's just a plain black drip coffee, but you couldn't find a latte or anything like that kind of anywhere else. I also got a giant chocolate macaron, and oh my goodness, I will be dreaming about this for the rest of my life. It literally tasted like a chocolate brownie but in a macaron. The outside was just so soft and melted in your mouth, and the inside was just so chewy and chocolatey and delicious. Oh my goodness. The cookie was also really good, but I feel like a French cookie is more like an English chocolate shortbread, but it was still really good. Honestly, this one is definitely worth the hype. Literally straight across from this is also the Earl of Sandwich. Now this one seems to get amazing reviews no matter where you look. I actually ended up going to the Earl of Sandwich for breakfast, and I'll be honest, I completely forgot to record anything. We went and got a couple of breakfast sandwiches and like an English breakfast. My husband got the full English breakfast and he said that he'd definitely have it again, whereas me and my boys went for the breakfast sandwiches. Just like the pastries and the macaron, the bread throughout Disneyland seemed just absolutely delicious. We got the American breakfast sandwich, and although there wasn't like kind of too much flavour to it, it was decent enough for like a breakfast on the go, and it was really affordable. For this one, I'm going to stick it at not bad because I'd probably eat there again. Staying in Disney Village, but just moving up a little bit, we tried one of the like sweet confectionery stands, and we actually ended up getting some of their churros. They weren't too bad, but they were a little bit flavourless and kind of didn't have too much to them. As soon as you dip them in the sauce, it was actually quite nice. This one I'm going to stick it at completely mid because honestly I could do without. Now moving on to the main Disneyland park itself, going down USA Main Street. Now no matter where you look, this one seems to be the most famous and seems to be kind of like the face of the food for Disneyland Paris, and that is the Mickey beignets. Again, something else I had absolutely high hopes for because I've seen so many positive reviews, and this one, like I said, seems to be the face of food for Disneyland Paris. Every time the line was just so long, so kind of just give up and queued up to get one. I'm not going to say that it's worth the hype. It was good. The actual donut was soft and chewy. There weren't much flavour to it apart from like a little bit of like a salty flavour, but it wasn't bad until you actually got down to the middle part, which had all the Nutella in it. The actual ears themselves on Mickey had no Nutella in them, so there was quite plain and flavourless. When you get down to the actual middle of it where the Nutella is, that just completely sets it off. Much as I did like this, I'm going to have to knock it down a little bit because there was no Nutella in the ears. It was a little bit of like a task to eat them until you got to the actual middle bit. If you're going to eat one of these, I'd suggest pulling it in half and literally like dipping the ears in the middle to get some sort of flavour for it. But overall, I'm going to say not bad. I'd definitely try it if you're in the park. Literally straight next door to that is the Disneyland Paris Candy Palace. The next one is again another macaron because it doesn't matter where you go throughout this park, this is a surefire snack. This one in particular, you can actually get at a couple different locations throughout the park. The famous Disney macaron. The one I got was the caramel one with the Disney castle on, but there were so many different flavours, and honestly, just try it. I actually took this back as a snack to have at the hotel, and it kind of got crushed on the way, but that did not affect the flavour at all because it was absolutely delicious. I'd say this one is definitely worth the hype. So we tried the Hyperion Kitchen in Discoveryland. I'm gonna be honest, there's not really much to say about this. American fast food kind of diner style restaurant. It's actually very quick and easy self-service, and you can actually sit there and watch live shows while you're eating your dinner. The food itself is literally Rustler's burgers. There's not really much else to say about that. My husband did actually try the Yoda burger, and that was quite nice in the taste itself, but texture-wise, they're just serving Rustler's burgers. I'm not going to say that this one's a complete scam, but I would say that I wouldn't have it again, and I'd probably be staying away from it if I went in the park. To end our first day, we did actually end up going back to Leit Rosalite to get something on the way back to the hotel, and it was literally like a 3-minute walk from the hotel that we were staying at. Again, I had seen some absolute amazing reviews for this, and with us trying a little quick service kind of like snack car, I had some high hopes myself. And it did look really promising. It again was slightly overpriced, but so is everything in Disneyland Paris. We ended up trying a couple of different things. We had a croque monsieur, I probably said that completely wrong. We tried a croque monsieur, a crab roll, and my boys literally just had ice cream. The actual taste was delicious, I'm not gonna lie, it was really good. However, it was absolutely stone cold. Essentially a ham and cheese toasty, a lot fancier, a lot tastier, but it is essentially a ham and cheese toasty. I don't want to eat that stone cold, and it was absolutely freezing. The crab roll wasn't bad, but it really wasn't my thing, so I don't think it's fair for me to say whether it was good or bad because it just kind of wasn't to my taste. The staff were really nice, and it was a quick little pit stop on the way back to the Marvel Hotel. I can confirm that the boys absolutely destroyed their ice creams, really loved them, but put me off with how cold the food was. It just kind of left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. If anybody else has been and your food's been stone cold, then let me know because we're probably gonna have to move them down the list a little bit more. I want to say that it wasn't bad, but it was just really cold. Moving on to our second day, we actually went and explored the Walt Disney Studios. For me personally, I actually preferred this side of the park so much better. But first up, nestled between the Tower of Terror and Toy Story Land was the Ice Cream Creations. This is a little ice cream truck, and they only actually had the Magnums available. They have a set menu that changes out every so often. They didn't actually have the sundae kind of ice creams that we wanted. We went for one of these character Magnums instead. Staff actually hand make these themselves. Start off with like a plain Magnum ice cream, and they hand dip it in chocolate and literally hand decorate it in front of you. Personally, I absolutely love this. I thought it'd give that extra like magical touch. I ended up going for the woody one. The chocolate, because it's been hand dipped, it's not like a normal Magnum, it's not got that crack to it. It's a little bit more like chewier, but honestly, this was so good. This one I'm definitely going to say was worth the hype. So now moving on further into the park, into the Marvel campus, and we come across the Stark Factory. This is like a kind of modern Marvel themed restaurant, and it fits in perfectly with the Marvel campus. Look of it and the overall theme is so good, and is just completely on point. However, moving on to the actual food, this is like a self-service kind of buffet restaurant. The main thing here is kind of like pizza slices and also bowls of pasta. We ended up getting a macaroni cheese and a slice of what was supposed to be 4-cheese pizza, but it was definitely not that. I tried the macaroni and cheese and it really wasn't for me. It was a very kind of basic cafeteria, not very good mac and cheese. 4-cheese pizza that I picked up, it had some sort of like weird herby flavour. There was some kind of weird like herby kind of paste underneath the cheese that was very strange, and it just wasn't good. It had a very strange aftertaste and I couldn't really finish it, and I am not a picky eater. So this one I think I'm gonna have to put in our first scam category. But staying in the Marvel Park and moving a little bit further down, we come to the fantastic food truck. This is a food truck that's located in Marvel Campus, and I wish I'd actually tried a couple more things from here. We only ended up getting one of the newest items on the menu, which was the Liberty Lollipop. So I actually thought that this was an ice cream at first because it's very, very similar and it's served really cold. Actually vanilla ganache with like a hazelnut almond kind of caramel insert inside, and oh my goodness, this is going straight to the top. This is definitely worth the hype. It was so incredible. I could not recommend this enough. It was so good. The perfect alternative on a nice like warm summer's day if you don't want an ice cream but you still want something to keep you cool, and tastes absolutely delicious. In the new entrance that's just actually opened up in the Walt Disney Studios in Paris, there is a new kind of little cafe station that's called the Searchlight. This one again is just like another little pit stop. It's somewhere just to grab like a hot drink and a quick snack. The main one that they serve here is actually different character donuts. I actually picked up a cafe au lait and a little group cookie, and it was honestly the cutest thing I think I've ever seen. It was just adorable. Group cookie itself tasted a little bit stale kind of around the edges, but as soon as you got to that like hazelnut cream and had it all together, it was so good. The perfect little cookie to sit with a coffee while you're just kind of hanging around the park, and I'll definitely have this again. I'm not going to put it with the hype just because, like I said, the actual cookie itself tastes a little bit stale on the outside. Then again, I don't know if it's just the actual like French style biscuit that I'm not used to, but it was just a little bit off. But all in all, I'm going to stick it as not bad. Now entering the Ratatouille part of the park, this was honestly my favourite part altogether. It was weird because we was in the middle of France, but we didn't really feel like we was in France until we stepped in like the French part of the park, and then it kind of felt like we was in France. It was 3 for €7. My husband actually got the chocolate covered strawberries. He said they were okay, but they're just chocolate covered strawberries. I got the macarons. Now I got a vanilla, a coffee and a pistachio, and honestly I couldn't tell you which one I liked more than the other because they were all that good. This one is definitely going straight to worth the hype, and I'm going to be dreaming of these macarons from France, I think, for the rest of my life. Before I tell you the final and most expensive food that we ate in Disneyland, I first want to throw in an honourable mention, and this isn't actually technically a snack from Disneyland, but it is a French snack. And they either, don't come at me for saying this wrong, but is it Bon Maman? Oh my goodness, when I tell you, these are the best cookies that I think I've ever had. Best pre-made kind of pre-packaged cookies. They're so soft and crumbly and buttery and delicious. I cannot even express to you just how good these actually were. So also just touching on the Manhattan restaurant, because I did say at the beginning of this video that there was a second restaurant in the actual hotel, which is the Manhattan restaurant. We did actually make a reservation here and we went in and sat down. I'll be honest, as soon as we sat down, about 30 seconds later we stood up and walked straight back out. This isn't a reflection on the actual restaurant. The staff were so lovely. Honestly, when you've been around the park all day and you've got 2 young children, which mine are 4 and 6, and they're a little bit irritated, they just want something quick and easy to eat, they want to get to bed because they're excited to get up for the next day to keep going again, but they're also absolutely knackered and they're being a little bit mangy, and it's just a lot going on. Obviously the menus were in French because we're in France, but there was no English alternative. I couldn't work out what any of it was. It all looked so fancy and so over the top, and the food was probably absolutely delicious, and I've seen some really good reviews, but honestly we just kind of got up and walked out because it was a little bit too much. I couldn't work out what the menu was, and yes, I know we could have asked, but we were all very tired. The kids were kind of in the best of moods and we just kind of got up and left. We actually got back to the room and ended up ordering room service. Now, let me just tell you that this room service cost us over €200. Now, we didn't even end up getting that much, and oh my god, did it cost a lot. Don't get me wrong, it's absolutely ridiculous, but sometimes you can kind of justify it if it's good food, which this unfortunately wasn't amazing. Now we ended up getting 2 kids meals, which was actually quite good because they got a starter, a main and a dessert plus some sort of like bottle of apple juice or something like that. They started off with some like bread and ham, and then the main meal was some chicken and potatoes. And the dessert was like this fork kind of tart, and they absolutely loved it. For myself, I ended up ordering a Caesar salad. I always feel like you can never really go wrong with a Caesar salad, no matter where you are. But let me just tell you something. Now this Caesar salad was very strange. It was like a chopped salad and everything was kind of mushed up and mashed in together underneath. It was a little bit soggy but not too bad, kind of still edible. Then I had like a very cold piece of chicken on the side, which was a little bit off-putting because it was a little bit pink, but I just convinced myself that it was smoked chicken and that it wasn't undercooked. The strangest part about it was it had a poached egg that was absolutely stone cold. I've never had a poached egg that was completely cold, and honestly that just kind of pushed it over the edge for me. It was very strange. I don't know if that is like a normal typical French thing, but for me I didn't like it. But the bread and butter, however, again, pastries, macarons and breads, you can't seem to go wrong in Paris with any of those. It was absolutely delicious, and I more or less just kind of filled myself up on bread, if I'm honest. My husband actually went for the focaccia sandwich and he said that this was incredible. This was one of the best sandwiches that he had ever had. It came with a side of these like chips that you used to get in primary school, and they were like seasoned with some sort of seasoning, and they were actually incredible. And the only other thing that we got with this was the lobster mac and cheese. This was the most expensive thing, at 45 euros for the lobster mac and cheese. Okay, it's got lobster in it, so of course it's going to be expensive, but again, this seems to be a running theme because this was absolutely stone cold. It must have been baked like early that morning, and they've literally just let it cool down, stick it in the fridge, and then they just serve it to you. Now I'm sorry, but if I'm paying £45 for some mac and cheese, it best be hot. Actually, the only thing that was hot was my kids' chicken and potatoes, and everything else was absolutely stone cold. When you are paying so much for a meal, you at least expect it to even be lukewarm. So again, that one, I can't exactly say it was a full scam because there was 2 or 3 bits in it that we did actually really enjoy, but as far as it goes, I really wouldn't eat it again. So now we've finished ranking some of the best and worst foods in Disneyland Paris. Comment down below and let me know if you've tried any of these. Let me know what you think. Comment down below and let me know some of your favourite or some of your worst experiences in Disneyland Paris, and I will see you in the next one.